Beyond the physical opulence of the Vatican lies an intellectual wealth that is potentially far more significant. The archives house an estimated 85 kilometers of shelving, a testament to the Catholic Church's millennium-long existence. This place is not merely a monument to history, it's history itself, manifested in parchments, scrolls, and books. And if we observe the annals of the Vatican's secret archives, we might go on a journey through the church's shadowy corridors, whispering tales of the unseen, the unheard, and the unknown. It is a quest that takes us to the precipice of faith and history, illuminating the mysteries that lie within the Vatican's heart. But first, let's begin with the Vatican State itself. The Vatican City-State's foundation dates back to February 11, 1929. Its genesis ties back to the Lateran Pacts of 1929 between Italy and the Holy See. This agreement recognized the Holy See's complete sovereignty over the territory matching Rome's city, thereby establishing Catholicism as Italy's official religion. With a modest population of around 840 and spanning an area of roughly 108 acres or 44 hectares, the Vatican resides in Rome, Italy. It holds the title of the world's smallest independent country in terms of population and area. The Vatican museums, the Sistine Chapel, Raphael's rooms, St. Peter's Basilica, and the breathtaking architecture of one of the most historic places in human history. As a beacon of the Roman Catholic faith, the Vatican's power and influence over its religious followers are indisputable. The Holy See's authority reaches Catholics worldwide. Within the city's walls, north of St. Peter's Basilica, stands the Vatican Palace, serving as the Pope's residence. The Pope, regarded as one of the most powerful figures globally, has significant religious influence. His residence, the Vatican, carries the legacy of Etruscans, a mysterious civilization that inhabited central Italy over 3,000 years ago. Despite their advancements in engineering, art, and architecture, we know very little about their language or their beliefs. The name Vatican has no roots in the Bible, Greek, or Latin. Instead, it originates from the Etruscan god Vatis, the deity of divine communication and prophecy. Believing Vatis dwelt in an underground cave, the Etruscans built their temples atop these caves for communion with the deity. Interestingly, the Vatican today still stands over an ancient Etruscan cave. A legend has it that the Pope communicates with Vatis through a secret tunnel connecting the Vatican to this cave. The truth of this is uncertain, but it clearly signifies the Vatican's pagan roots. In October 2019, the Vatican's secret archives underwent a name change to become the Vatican Apostolic Archives. Established by Paul V in the mid-17th century, the Apostolic Archives, one of the world's oldest institutions, serves as the Holy See's central repository for its documents, deeds, and acts. It is among the world's most extensive archives and also houses the personal records of the Pope under his authority. The archive officially began to exist in 1612 during the time of Pope Paul V. The oldest documents that he managed to collect date back to the 8th century. At least, this is the official statement. It is very likely that there are also much older texts. In 1612, Pope Paul V ordered that all the archives of the Church be kept in one place, right under the Vatican, and since then it has been officially known as Archivum Secretum Apostolicum Vaticanum. From then on, it has not changed its location. The archives look more like a fortress, an underground bunker than a library. There is only one entrance, although there are doubts about that as well. The Vatican Apostolic Archive and the Vatican Secret Archive are two sections of the archives. The first part, open to researchers, contains documents up to the 20th century, starting from the time of Pope Innocent VIII. The second part, the Secret Archive, holds more recent documents but isn't open to the public. Even though the Vatican's secret archives is thought to hold many secrets and revelations, it's so big and unorganized that nobody knows its true size. Some guess it's 24 miles long, while others say it's as long as 52 miles. It also has 135 separate collections or fondi, which include things like papal decrees, records of prominent papal families, and the documents of suppressed religious groups and monasteries. Many of these records haven't been looked at or organized. Access to some documents, like those about the Inquisition, a group within the Catholic Church that fought against religious dissent, is closely guarded. To see these documents, you need permission from the organization that took over the Inquisition, the Sacred Congregation for the Propagation of the Faith. Historically, access to the Vatican archives was a privilege reserved solely for the Pope. Even high-ranking church officials, such as cardinals, were not granted this right. This changed in 1881 when Pope Leo XIII permitted limited access to these rich resources. To gain admission, individuals need to be reputable scholars with explicit approval from the Vatican's holy authorities, a process that can take years. The archives remain inaccessible to journalists, amateur historians, students, and general enthusiasts. Even for approved researchers, there are multiple challenges to overcome. Researchers must specify the documents they're interested in within this extensive collection. Random browsing is not permitted. They can request up to 3 documents, which they must identify from dense catalogs provided by archive custodians. While researchers peruse their catalogs, available only in manuscript form in Latin and Italian, they are kept under close supervision. Time restrictions are also in place. If researchers exceed their allocated time, they are asked to leave the archives, although they may return the next day for another attempt. Furthermore, the catalogs do not contain all of the Vatican's documents. They only list documents that are more than 75 years old, and they omit many documents that are deemed unfit for public viewing regardless of their age. Suppose you're a researcher who has successfully secured approval for entry into the Vatican's archives. You navigate the security procedures and enter the premises. However, even then you cannot immediately explore the documents. You must wait until an official grants you permission to examine a maximum of 3 folders per day. These folders are not organized systematically, and you essentially have to dive into a sea of unsorted information. For many researchers, finding a document of importance can take years due to this disarray. Even upon discovering something significant, the Church requires that all findings be disclosed to them. The Church then decides whether the researcher can use the discovered information, a stipulation that carries its own implications. In 2012, marking its 400th anniversary, the Vatican temporarily allowed journalists access to small sections of the archives. Under pressure from human rights organizations, the Vatican in 2020 agreed to release documents related to Pope Pius XII's involvement in World War II. However, what was shown to the public deviated considerably from the previously stated expectations. It seemed more of a public relations maneuver, rather than a genuine effort to present historical truth. This seems to have been the pattern. The Vatican tightly guards its secrets, irrespective of the circumstances, the entities interested in uncovering them, or the historical era in question. So, what are some of the known documents that the Vatican Secret Archive keeps? Let's begin by discussing the known contents of the Vatican's archive. It's a repository filled with documents of historic importance. It holds numerous letters sent over centuries by various people to the reigning pope at the time. Notable among the documents stored in the archive are official edicts from popes. One example is the edict excommunicating the German reformer Martin Luther. Another is the edict Inter Caethera, issued by Pope Alexander VI in 1493, which divided the then-known world into spheres of influence between Spain and Portugal, a precursor of sorts to the Cold War era, power dynamics between the USSR and the US. In 2001, the long-lost archives of the Knights Templar were discovered in the Vatican. The document, a scroll nearly 60 meters long, details the trial of 1307 against the Templar Knights. These documents dramatically altered the historical narrative around the Templars and the papacy of that era.